We all love JK. We all want JK to be happy.
Kuminga has signed a 2-year deal with Golden State. It's a win-win for both sides.
After months of tension, rumors, and uncertainty, Jonathan Kuminga has finally re-signed with the Golden State Warriors, but the way this saga ended has left fans completely stunned. This man fought tooth and nail for months, skipped media day, pushed for a player option, even hinted at walking away next summer, yet somehow ended up signing a deal that gave all the power back to the Warriors. He wanted leverage, instead, he gave it up. He wanted control over his destiny, instead, he got the exact opposite of what he fought for. So how did things flip so drastically? Why did Kuminga cave after holding out for so long? And now that Golden State has locked him in while adding Steph Curry and Al Horford, where exactly do they stand in an absolutely stacked Western Conference that's changed more in one off-season than anyone could have imagined? To understand that, we have to rewind to where this entire standoff began, a point where contract talks turned personal, respect turned into tension, and what started as a negotiation slowly became a statement about power. It's July 2025. The Warriors have just been bounced from the second round of the playoffs by the Minnesota Timberwolves, ending another season that began with championship hopes and ended in frustration. Jimmy Butler's first full year with the team had brought energy and promise, but not the ultimate goal, another ring for the dynasty. And right in the middle of that disappointment stood 22-year-old Jonathan Kuminga, a freak athlete with unreal potential, drafted 7th overall in 2021, now entering restricted free agency and ready to finally get paid like the star he believes he is. His camp, led by agent Aaron Turner, walks into negotiations with a bold, confident proposal, a 3-year, $82 million deal with a player option. That clause wasn't just a technicality. It was everything. It meant Kuminga could bet on himself. If he broke out and proved his worth, he could opt out and chase a max deal in free agency. It was the ultimate "I know my value" move. But the Warriors weren't having it. Not this time. Not with the second apron penalties breathing down their necks. Not with years of massive luxury tax payments already on their books. Golden State's front office, led by GM Mike Dunleavy Jr., made their stance crystal clear: this team needed flexibility and long-term control, not another big contract with built-in risk. They're already paying Draymond, Jimmy, and Steph huge money, and they're still trying to find balance between chasing another ring and preparing for the future. So instead of matching Kuminga's demand, the Warriors countered with something completely different, a 2-year, $45 million offer with a team option. Basically, they said, "We'll pay you, but the decision stays with us." For a young player who averaged over 15 points per game last season and often looked like the most athletic guy on the floor, that counteroffer felt disrespectful, not because of the money itself, but because of what it represented. It was Golden State saying, "We're not sure you're part of the plan yet." And that hit Kuminga hard. But the truth is, this whole conflict ran deeper than numbers on a contract. Behind the scenes, frustration had been boiling for a long time. Kuminga and his camp had repeatedly voiced their confusion about his role under Steve Kerr. And honestly, they weren't wrong. Anyone who watched the Warriors last season could see the inconsistency. One night Kuminga looked unstoppable, explosive drives, highlight dunks, confident energy. The next night, he'd be stuck on the bench watching veterans close the game. In the first-round series against Houston, he barely touched the floor. Then, in the second round against Minnesota, he suddenly erupted, looking like a future all-star. That kind of back and forth can mess with a young player's mindset, especially one who's still trying to establish himself. You're 22 years old, built like a tank, showing flashes of greatness, yet your coach still doesn't fully trust you. Then, your front office follows up with a contract that screams, "We don't fully believe in you either." That's not just business, that's personal. And that's exactly why this situation spiraled into something much bigger than a simple negotiation. As July turned into August and then September, both sides refused to blink. Kuminga wanted validation, the Warriors wanted control. He wanted the freedom to bet on himself, they wanted protection in case things went sideways. The stalemate dragged on, Headlines exploded, and fans started wondering if Kuminga might actually pull a rare move, take the qualifying offer and become an unrestricted free agent next summer. That would have been a massive gamble, especially for a player who still hadn't cemented himself as a consistent starter. But as the days passed, the leverage started to shift. Other teams with cap space began moving on. The market for a restricted free agent with inconsistency issues wasn't as strong as Kuminga's camp hoped. The Warriors, on the other hand, had patience and history on their side. They knew they could wait him out, because at the end of the day, Kuminga needed them more than they needed him. That's when the tone changed. Golden State came back with a final offer, 3 years, $75 million, still with a team option. A deal that gave him decent money, but zero control. A deal that told him, "We'll invest in you, but the power stays with us." For weeks, he hesitated. He wanted to stand his ground. But with training camp approaching, with public perception shifting, and with pressure building inside his own camp, Kuminga finally made the move no one expected. He gave in. He signed the team option deal. The same type of contract he'd fought so hard to avoid. In one stroke, he secured his short-term future but lost the long-term leverage he'd spent months demanding. To fans, it looked like a surrender. But to the Warriors, it was a strategic win. They locked up a promising young player on their terms, protected their financial flexibility, and sent a quiet message to the rest of the locker room: no one is above the team. Now, as the dust settles, the question shifts: was this the right move for Kuminga, or did he just box himself into a future he can't control? Because while the ink on his new deal is dry, the real story, about trust, identity, and what comes next, is just getting started.
Meanwhile, the rest of the league wasn't just watching. They were circling like sharks. The Phoenix Suns and Sacramento Kings both tried to swoop in with sign-and-trade offers, and the Suns' proposal was especially tempting. 4 years, nearly $90 million, with a player option, literally everything Kuminga had been fighting for. But the Warriors didn't even blink. They shut it down instantly, not wanting Royce O'Neal and second-round picks from Phoenix or Malik Monk and a protected first from Sacramento. And that's when reality hit. Kuminga's leverage was slipping away fast. Being a restricted free agent sounds powerful, but in truth, it's a trap. The Warriors could match any offer sheet, no matter how big. His only real escape hatch was the qualifying offer, a 1-year, $7.9 million deal that would give him a no-trade clause and full freedom next summer. But that option came with massive risk. What if he got hurt? What if Steve Kerr benched him again, tanking his stats and his value? One bad twist, one cold stretch, and his future payday could vanish overnight. That's not just losing money, that's losing your momentum, your career arc, your reputation. As the days passed and media day approached, the tension hit its peak. September 28th, all the Warriors are in San Francisco, ready for the season's first official event. Steph, Draymond, and Jimmy Butler are smiling for photos, taking questions, but one face is missing: Jonathan Kuminga. He didn't even travel. The deadline for the qualifying offer was October 1st, just 3 days away, and the pressure inside the Warriors' locker room was boiling. Everyone was saying the right things. We love JK, it'll work out, but deep down, everyone knew it was getting awkward. Then, just hours before the deadline, boom. Shams Charania drops the tweet that ends a months-long standoff. Jonathan Kuminga has agreed to a 2-year, $45.5 million contract with the Golden State Warriors. And then the shocking detail: the deal includes a team option. Wait, what? After months of fighting for control, Kuminga accepted the same team-friendly structure the Warriors had offered back in July, just with an extra $3.5 million added. The first year guarantees him $23.3 million, the second year $25.2 million, but it's all in the Warriors' hands. They can pick it up, let him walk, or renegotiate next summer. So why did he cave? That qualifying offer was barely $7.9 million, while this new deal gives him over triple that in just one season. $23 million guaranteed, life-changing money for a 22-year-old chasing his first real payday. Turning that down would have been impossible. But beyond the dollars and cap details, there's something more human at play. Kuminga practically grew up in this organization. These teammates aren't just coworkers, they're family. Walking away now would have meant burning every bridge he's built since he was a teenager. By signing this deal, he's not just buying financial security, he's giving himself another shot to prove he belongs, to show that all the early hype and frustration weren't for nothing. Still, the deal carries an undercurrent of uncertainty, because come January 15th, Kuminga becomes trade eligible. And sources say both he and the Warriors already understand that those conversations will happen. For Golden State, it's leverage and flexibility. For Kuminga, it's a spotlight, one last window to show the league what he truly is before someone else decides his future. One way or another, this isn't the end of the story. It's the calm before something bigger, because Jonathan Kuminga's next chapter could redefine both his career and the Warriors' direction. Now that Jonathan Kuminga has finally signed, the Warriors have no choice but to play him. Because this time, he's not just another young piece. He's an asset whose value they must protect or raise. Steve Kerr knows burying him on the bench again would crush both his confidence and his trade stock, so now it's put up or shut up time. Maybe, just maybe, this is the season where Kuminga explodes. 20 points a night, efficient shooting, two-way defense, and that hunger to prove he belongs. If that happens, Golden State will either have to rip up his deal and pay him big, or flip him for a star-level return. It's risky, but it's a calculated gamble. And right after Kuminga put pen to paper, the Warriors wasted no time. They unleashed a wave of veteran signings that screamed, "We're still going for it." First came Al Horford, a move that caught the league's attention. At 39 years old, with a championship ring from 2024 and nearly 2 decades of experience, Horford joined Steph Curry for what might be one last historic run. He's the perfect fit, a floor-stretching big, strong defender, high IQ leader, and a calming locker room presence to replace Kevon Looney's stability. In a season where trade rumors could easily turn the vibe toxic, Horford's leadership could be the glue that holds this group together. Alongside him, the Warriors brought back defensive anchors Gary Payton-Sicko and DeAnthony Melton, two gritty perimeter defenders who thrive in chaos. Payton's energy is unmatched, while Melton, now fully recovered from injury, brings the toughness and shooting this team lacked last year. But then came the signing that tugged at every fan's heart, Seth Curry. For the first time ever, the Splash Brothers are truly brothers on the same roster. Sure, Seth's 35 now, and he's not dropping 20 a night, but shooting nearly 46% from 3 last season makes him the perfect role player beside Steph. Beyond basketball, it's a legacy moment. Two brothers sharing the court in what could be the twilight of Steph's legendary career. The kind of story people will talk about decades from now. On paper, the Warriors' depth chart suddenly looks balanced again. Steph running point surrounded by shooters, Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green bringing defense and leadership, Horford anchoring the paint, and Kuminga adding youth and explosiveness. Off the bench, Moody, Podziemski, Melton, GP2, and Seth round out one of the most experienced yet energetic rotations in the league. If they stay healthy, this is easily a 50-win team. But in today's Western Conference, even 50 wins might not guarantee home court advantage. OKC is coming off a 68-win season, led by MVP and Finals MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who just completed one of the greatest individual runs since Prime Shaq. The Thunder brought everyone back. Shai, Jalen Williams, Chet Holmgren, Lou Dort, Cason Wallace. They're scary. Meanwhile, the Houston Rockets shocked the league by trading for Kevin Durant, pairing him with Alperen Sengun and Amen Thompson, instantly becoming a top 4 team. Denver retooled too, trading Michael Porter Jr. for Cam Johnson, bringing back Bruce Brown, and signing Jonas Valanciunas to back up Jokic. Every contender leveled up, so where does that leave Golden State? Realistically, somewhere between the 5th and 7th seed. They'll be good enough to compete, but the question remains, is this Kuminga's breakout or his farewell tour? He took a 2-year, $48.5 million deal with a team option because at the end of the day, $15 million guaranteed beats risking it all for a qualifying offer and a prayer. The Warriors won this negotiation, but the real story starts now. Whether Kuminga becomes the future of the franchise or the biggest trade chip they've had in years when January rolls around.